So I thought it'd be a fun video to dive into a full review of Tribunal's brand new album in Penitence and Ruin. It was released April 18th through $20 spin. This one really caught me off guard in the best way possible. A few of you in the comments on the last week's Discovery episode were asking, where's Tribunal? Well, here you go, fuckers. This is for you. In Penitence and Ruin is Tribunal's sophomore album, and it runs about 48 minutes across 9 tracks. This record is drenched in gloom and doom with a beautifully oppressive atmosphere. It balances crushing riffs, angelic clean vocals, and monstrous raspy growls to create something that feels both haunting and majestic. It surprised me with how emotionally heavy and musically refined it is. So let's not waste any fucking time. We're going track by track to break it all down. So first up is Incarden, is an absolute stellar way to open the album. Moody, immersive, and emotionally rich. It immediately sets a Gothic tone with haunting piano notes and layered clean guitar melodies that pull you into its cold, melancholic world. The atmosphere is thick with dread and elegance, almost cinematic in how it unfolds. Now, as the track progresses, the doom-laden guitar riffs begin to rise like storm clouds in the distance, creating a slow, smothering tension. Then comes the stunning vocal entrance by Soren Morn, her clean, ethereal voice floats above the dark instrumentation like a ghost in a fog. It's fragile, graceful, and full of sorrow. Just when you think you've settled into that mournful calm, Etienne Flynn roars in with his monstrous Blackened growls, tearing through the serenity with sheer force. The dynamics between their voices is powerful, the beauty and the beast clashing and coexisting in perfect harmony. The track's pacing is deliberate and masterful. Slow, trudging melodies are supported by even cello and fucking violin passages that add an aching, funeral-like quality to the arrangement. It all builds toward a climactic moment where everything swells, strings, guitars, vocals in a crushing emotional peak. This song is pure doom magic, sorrowful, majestic, and heavy in all the right ways. The melodies stick with you, the mood lingers, and Incarden doesn't just start the album, it just casts a spell on you. A wound unhearing plunges deeper into Gothic melancholy, drenched in mood and rich with melody. This track leans more into that emotional, atmospheric side of the band's sound, and it absolutely fucking delivers. From the opening notes, it wraps you in a cold, sorrowful embrace, one that lingers long after, the final note fades. The Blackened vocals are a highlight here, raw, emotional, and chilling. It's not entirely clear whether it's Soren or Etienne Flynn. I'm not too sure if Soren does harsh vocals as well, but it's handling certain vocal lines at times, but whoever it is, they are phenomenal. The layered screams echo throughout the track like haunted voices in crumbling cathedral. The keyboard work is subtle but essential, providing climbing scales that enhance a sense of grandeur and despair. It adds a spectral backdrop that elevates the emotional weight of the piece without overpowering it. The guitar work is fucking outstanding, less focused on heavy riffing and more centered around emotional leads that soar and even weep. Every note feels precise, deliberate, bleeding with sadness and longing. Soren's clean vocals return here and are once again stunning. Her voice lifts the song to new emotional heights, gracefully dancing with the darkness. As the track builds, the death growls come in, tear through the beauty like a funeral storm, grounding the track in heaviness and pain. Cello and violin textures are woven throughout, never too prominent but always there, like sorrow silently observing from the shadows. And then there's a solo. The solo, emotional, melodic, and perfectly placed. It doesn't aim to shred, it aims to speak, and it speaks volume. This song is fantastic, very fucking mournful, less crushing than other tracks, but deeply moving in its own right. It's a Gothic, layers of Gothic atmosphere carved in melody and sorrow. Angel of Mercy brings back the crushing riffs in full force, reintroducing the heavier, more aggressive side of the album. It leads into those thick, doom-laden guitar tones and the expected interplay between like the blackened shrieks and guttural death growls. On paper, where's my paper? It checks all the right boxes, but truthfully, this track feels like one of the weaker moments on the album. Sorry to say that. By this point in the record, you already know the formula: haunting cleans, venomous harsh vocals, and slow burning melancholic songwriting. And while this doesn't necessarily stray from that blueprint, it also doesn't elevate or expand on it. The clean vocals, when paired with the harsher tones, are still, effective. They always are, but the emotional impact here feels slightly dulled compared to the first two tracks. The pacing is much slower, almost bordering on funeral doom territory, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but the track suffers from a stop-start structure that disrupts its flow, in my opinion. The momentum built by the album's emotional melodic high and melodic highs takes a bit of a hit here. That said, it's still a good song in isolation. The riffs are thick, the vocal performances are solid, and there's a weight to it that fans of like glacial atmospheric doom will appreciate. But in the context of the album's pacing, Angel of Mercy feels like a slight misstep, in my opinion, less engaging and not quite as memorable as the other songs. The Sword of Slain is a strong return to form and easily one of the more emotionally impactful tracks on the album. From the opening moment, it radiates a haunting tension driven by crushing doom-laden breakdowns that feel both devastating and cinematic. The atmosphere here is thick and ghostly, like trudging through fog in a desolate battlefield. The guitar work truly shines on this one. From melodic licks to slow, heavy fucking riffing, every note feels deliberate again and dripping with sorrow. It's one of those tracks where the guitars aren't just backing instruments, they're narrators. They are narrators telling a story of grief and despair through every chord progression. Sorrow and Mourn once again delivers a captivating vocal performance. I can't stress it enough. Her cleans cut through the gloom like moonlight, like the moonlight on a ruined chapel. And Etienne Flynn is monstrous here, delivering raspy, snarling growls that add weight and urgency to the track. The dynamics between them is especially strong on this song, weaving together beauty and brutality in a way that elevates the track beyond standard doom fare. There's also a subtle layering of keys and strings underneath the core instrumentation, helping to maintain that unsettling spectral atmosphere that's been consistent throughout this whole entire fucking album. Even as the song leans more into its heaviness, it never loses that sense of looming dread. The Sword of the Slain is both crushing and emotional, a standout track where the band balances melody and power with like masterful precision. It's heavy, heartfelt, and everything this genre does best. Ruin serves as a somber instrumental interlude, more of a reflective moment than a standalone track. It's built around elegiac strings with violins and cellos weaving gently through a thick, mournful atmosphere. The tone is bleak and meditative, drenched in sorrow like the stillness before a storm. While it doesn't introduce any major shifts to stand-up musical ideas, it's clearly intended as a transitional piece, a breather between emotional weight of the last song and what's to come next. It's effective in setting the mood, but not much more than that, a haunting build-up rather than a focal point. Then we go to The Penitent, rises beautifully out of the ashes of ruin, and it's one of the most emotional, resonant tracks on the album. From the very first notes, it grabs you with layered pianos that echo with sorrow, setting the stage for a journey steeped in fucking grief and self-reflection. The melodic guitar work here is absolutely gorgeous, tasteful, expressive, and soaked in feeling. It flows seamlessly alongside the pianos, never overwhelming it, but complementing the mood with delicate precision. As the track progresses, the transition between clean and harsh vocals are executed perfectly. The interplay adds a dramatic weight, making each passage feel like a conversation between agony and serenity, if you get what I mean. What really stands out is how the tension slowly builds throughout the song. The crushing riffs arrive like waves of regret, slow, heavy, and deliberate, while the melodies remain at the forefront, weaving a tapestry of beauty and even pain. There is something deeply fucking human about this track. The Penitent feels like a reckoning, a moment of emotional release. It's melodic, doom-laden, brilliantly composed, a standout moment in the second half of the album. So, Armored in Shade is a masterclass in channeling depression and heartbreak through doom. It captures everything this album does so well. Emotional weight, haunting melodies, and that beautiful balance between fragility and fury. Once again, the guitar work is outstanding. The leads carry a deep sense of sorrow, weaving through doom-laden passages. There's a heaviness to every note, sorrowful for every note, not just in sound but in feeling. Sorrow Mourn's clean vocals are absolutely captivating on this track. It's soft yet powerful, like a voice rising through grief. The emotional Blackened rasps bleed despair on this, delivering some of his most raw and vulnerable vocal work on the album. The drum production on this deserves special mention here. The snare has this sharp, snappy bite, a reverb sound, cutting through the dense, sludgy mix with clarity, yet still feels like it's dragging chains behind it, a perfect percussive contrast to the atmospheric weight of the song. And then there's the outro, an absolute gut punch as Soren sings, "I will never trust again." Those words are echoed and torn apart by Etienne's harsh vocals. It's chilling, cathartic, and unforgettable, one of the highlights of the album. The final moments of this track are among the most emotionally charged on the entire record. And the thorn-choked flowers grow closes the album with a towering, oppressive presence. It immediately wraps you in an ominous atmosphere laid with dread and sorrow as if you're walking through a field of withered memories. The track is steeped in like crushing doom-laden passages, and the weight of the music feels almost unbearable, but in the best fucking way possible. Flynn opens with some of his most powerful, raspy growls on the entire album. There's a visceral edge of his voice here, raw, broken, and filled with desperation. But just as you're pulled into that darkness, Soren Mourn's sorrowful cleans emerge like a faint glimmer of hope. Her voice cuts through the bleakness, adding just enough light to keep you from sinking completely. The guitar melodies throughout are stunning, haunting, emotional, and elegantly composed. There's a real sense of narrative in the instrumentation, like the music itself is mourning something lost. The mid-section especially stands out as the track plunges deeper into fucking heaviness with massive fucking riffs and growls that seem to battle against the faint light Soren brings. What makes this track so emotionally effective is that push and pull between hope and despair. As the song nears its end, the melodies brighten ever so slightly, hinting at a light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. But just as that moment starts to shine, Flynn's guttural growls return, dragging you back down into darkness and back down into hell. It's a final clash between grief and resilience, and it's absolutely gripping. And the Thorn-Choked Flowers Grow is easily one of the best songs on the album. Bleak, beautiful, and fucking devastating. Perfect closer to a record that thrives on contrast and emotion. And I just realized not the closer. Anyway, Between the Sea and Stars brings a sorrowful, almost reflective conclusion to the album. There's a noticeable shift toward brighter melodies, giving the impression of a flicker of hope emerging from the overwhelming darkness. The keyboards in particular are a standout here, subtle yet deeply effective, adding a layer of emotional uncertainty that lingers in the background. It's that tension between light and shadow that really speaks to the album's attention to detail. So fucking good. Vocally, the track features a familiar yet effective interplay between those clean and raspy growled sections, continuing the emotional dialogue that's been central to the whole entire fucking album. The performance is strong and the mood remains heavy with grief, even as the music tries to lift itself upward. That said, while Between the Sea and Stars is a solid atmospheric track, it doesn't quite land with the impact expected from a final song, and I'm just being brutally honest here. By the time it arrives, you're left wanting just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. A more dramatic climax or a final emotional gut punch. Fucking the songwriting here feels a bit too safe, and compared to some of the more ambitious moments early in the album, it doesn't quite push the boundaries. Still, it's a fitting closer in tone, gentle, uncertain, and sorrowful. But ultimately, it fades out rather than ending on a memorable high. So overall, Penitence and Ruin is a very strong album. There are a few missteps along the way, sure, but the songwriting is solid and the production is top notch. Every track had something engaging to offer, even if a couple didn't fully resonate with me, like on the first listen, like the final track. That said, I really feel like this is an album that's going to grow over time. It's one I definitely want to add to my CD collection. Right now, this is easily my top 5 albums of April, and I'm giving Tribunal's new record a solid 85%. I told you the score would be fucking high, and that's because this album absolutely earns it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the album, what you thought about the review, and what did you, I can't even speak, and what did you think about the review? Did it hit you the same way? Or are there tracks that connected to you more than it did for me? Either way, it's been fun, and I'll see you in the next one.